Monday Night Raw starts off with Paul Heyman, starts out with him being the advocate for Brock Lesnar, hyping Brock Lesnar up for the eventual rematch at Clash in Italy against Obafemi. Obafemi eventually comes out. He ends up talking on Paul Heyman. He has the contract. He ends up signing the contract that Paul Heyman ended up giving to Adam Pearce last week. He ends up mentioning how Paul Heyman ends up mentioning how it's not personal to Brock Lesnar, just business, but he ends up saying that hitting him with multiple F5 seems a bit personal to him. Then, Paul Heyman being afraid, being scared that Oba is going to attack him. Oba ends up telling him that he's not going to attack or hurt him because he needs Paul Heyman to be safe. He needs him to be well so that in the future, when he tells this story of Brock Lesnar's career, he needs to tell us the part of Obafemi retiring Brock Lesnar twice. And then towards the end, he ends up saying that last time he faced Brock was strictly just to beat him, but now he's trying to kill Brock Lesnar. This was a great promo. This is great for what they did for Oba. I like the interaction between him and Paul Heyman. Can't wait to see how the match eventually plays out. I did like that they didn't have an interaction between Brock and Oba because we don't need another interaction between those guys. We really don't. Plus, you kind of put yourself in a corner where if you have Oba destroy Brock Lesnar again, then you kind of raise some questions there. So I do like they leave it kind of in the air of who can win this match because it wouldn't shock me if Brock Lesnar wins this time because I can see a world where they have Brock Lesnar win, but I can also see a world where they just have Obafemi demolish him once again. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that match plays out. I'm excited for the match. I like how they build up this match. They're not really doing too much. They're not really overdoing it or overexposing either guy, which is really good, which is something I'm really liking what they're doing. I'm liking the overall build of what they've been doing here. Can't wait to see how the match plays out. Especially because since it will be, I do think the match will be a bit longer due to it being on not like on a WrestleMania stage, because the majority of the WrestleMania matches was short anyway. But I'm very curious to see how this match eventually all unfolds. But Obafemi, amazing mic work, man. I love that they're continuing to have him continue to cut promos when he's in these feuds. I hope outside of Brock Lesnar, whoever he feuds with, he continues to get mic work because he kills it when he's on the microphone. It's one of his most underrated skills that he has as an overall wrestler that people just continue to underrate. So I hope they continue to give him the microphone whenever he gets the opportunity because, man, he is really good on that mic. So overall, thought this was a good way to open the show, and I can't wait for Clash in Italy when they have that rematch. Afterwards, we end up getting an Intercontinental Championship match between Javon Evans versus Penta. This was a really good match. This was a great match. Really enjoyed this match. Really good back and forth. It was one spot. I think Javon Evans went for like a suicide dive. Penta grabbed him mid-air, tossed him on the announce table, but he ended up hitting spine first on like the front of the announce table, which that was brutal because I don't know if that was planned or I don't know if that was on accident, but that looked serious. That looked like he was going to be injured, but he ends up recovering. It's not nothing serious. But towards the end of the match, we end up getting a back and forth between Penta and Javon where they're going back and forth trying to hit each other's finishers. You get them both getting the upper hand, go for their finisher, but the other person keeps reversing it. You get Javon trying to go for the cutter. Penta tries to go for Mexican Destroyer, but they keep going back and forth, reversing each other's moves until eventually Penta does get the upper hand, hit the Mexican Destroyer, retains the Intercontinental Championship. Then later on, this caused a segment between him and Javon, where Javon didn't want to get his hell raised after the match, being frustrated, but Javon eventually does end up apologizing later on in the show. Penta retains the Intercontinental Championship, which I'm not mad at all. I was rooting for Javon Evans. I really wanted Javon Evans to win, but I was not mad that Penta won. Penta has been doing some really good work. He's been one of the more interesting things of WWE, been one of the few, I wouldn't say different type of booking with WWE because it's not that much different than like an open challenge, but I will say that I do like his form of it a bit differently because it's a bit more unpredictable. Like, unless with the other ones, it's a bit more unpredictable because they at least gave him challengers that can, one, actually beat him, and two, they're constantly revolved around the championship, unlike the other open challenges where it's just random wrestler faces this wrestler and then they just put on a banger match. But I like what they're doing with Penta. I've been enjoying his reign. It's one of the main things that I'm actually looking forward to in wrestling in general. So I've been liking what they're doing with Penta. This is how you book a wrestler like Penta. Have him have great matches, have him go against other great wrestlers, and then have other guys looming around the championship here and there. So I like what we've been doing with Penta. I don't mind if he continues to hold it. I hope eventually Ethan or Javon eventually takes it off of him, but I'm not mad if Penta ends up holding this for a while because Penta is doing some great work. So if he holds it, he's going to continue to put on great matches, continue to be a great champion. So I like I like this match overall. This was a great match. I'm very excited to see what they do next when it comes to this Intercontinental Championship. Moving on, we end up getting a quick segment with Montez, Seth Rollins, and Angelo Dawkins. It was a moment where Seth was talking. Seth was mentioning how we need to team up together due to what happened at Saturday night's main event with the Vision interfering in the match, having a numbers game. Montez, of course, is frustrated. He doesn't like that Seth is talking to Angelo. They go back and forth, arguing. They can't get on the same page. Eventually, Seth Rollins ends up mentioning his history, mentioning him being a multi-time world champion and how Montez doesn't have that success, so he should be listening to him. Then Montez ends up saying that, look, let's just go ahead and make a match official. Let's go ahead and make a match official so I can shut you up. The match ended up happening, and they end up having a really great match. They put on a really great match, which Seth Rollins does end up picking up the victory. After the match, though, you end up getting Angelo Dawkins end up getting attacked by Austin Theory. Then eventually security ends up taking Theory away, kicking him out the arena. Then you end up getting Montez having a moment with Seth, ends up saying that, look, we got to put our differences aside. Our Angelo needs us, and we need to, work together. They end up shaking hands. So now Seth Rollins and the Street Profits are officially going to be working together to try to finally put an end to the Division, which needs to be an end to the Division because, my God, this group needs to die, bro. I'm sorry. Look, I like the Division when they first formed, but once they start adding Logan Paul and Austin Theory, it was just going downhill. And then the fact that every member of the Division keeps getting hurt, like, it needs to go. This group is cursed. They're cursed. They're cursed. This group is reminding me a lot of Chelsea Green and her tag partners, because any person that tag teams with Chelsea Green gets injured or released. They Alba Fire, Piper Niven, Sonya Deville, like, it's reminding me a lot of that. Like, they need to just disband the group because Logan Paul is injured it seems like he's going to be injured for a while because I think he has a torn pec, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. Braun Breaker got hurt. It's time to move on in this faction. Let's just move on, disband the group. Now, apparently, Austin Theory and Braun Breaker are going to be the new tag champions, so they're going to be a tag team for the foreseeable future. And it looks like they're teasing Maxxine Dupri and Austin Theory, Maxxine potentially joining the Division. Now, I have been seeing this. I haven't really been talking about this mainly because it's been more of a background thing where they haven't really had an actual segment. It's just more of them in the background of other people's segments. I haven't really mentioned this because it's not going to go anywhere because Maxxine is going to get TV time. That's the good thing for her. But in terms of elevating her, I don't see it because who has the Division actually elevated? Like, think about it. What has the Division done for anybody? I would say the only person that really benefited from the Division is Logan Paul. That's the only person I could think of. Outside of that, it hasn't really done anything for anybody. Now, part of it is injury, which is a major concern. So if Maxxine joins, it's cool, but based off their booking, I'm not really getting excited for it because I don't see it going anywhere. I just see Maxxine Dupri just being a lackey who's probably going to get pinned and who's probably just going to help them cheat. That's really the only thing I could think of her doing. I don't see her getting elevated to like this mid-card stat. I just don't see it. We'll see eventually, but I just don't see it. I just have a hard time believing in it, but we'll see eventually how this all unfolds. But I do like that the Street Profits and Seth Rollins are eventually teaming up together to put an end to the Division. So we'll see eventually how that all unfolds. We end up getting a #1 contendership match for the Intercontinental Championship between Rey Mysterio and Rusev. This ended up becoming a thing due to Adam Pearce was talking to Rey to become the #1 contender. Ethan Page interrupts, feels like Rey doesn't deserve that opportunity. Rusev then interrupts. Ethan ends up basically manipulating and trying to pretend like he was on Rusev's side. Then eventually Rey Mysterio was like, look, bro, if I got to earn my opportunity, I earn it. They end up having a match. Rey Mysterio does pick up the victory, but then after the match, Rusev attacks Rey. Then Ethan attacks Rey Mysterio. Then Dragon Lee comes in for the save. So I'm assuming Dragon Lee will eventually come into the fold of this IC picture. I hope so. That just adds another great wrestler that could be in the mix. Plus, adds another dynamic of the story. Another guy that could potentially be hungry for that Intercontinental Championship. So I like it personally. If you add Dragon Lee, plus Dragon Lee isn't doing anything anyway. It's a way to give him quick TV time without him being a major player into stories. So I'm cool with it if he's going to be in the IC title picture. Plus, if you add Rey into it and he stays in it, I'm cool with it as well. I'm assuming next week this is going to lead to a tag match between Rey, Dragon Lee, Ethan Page and Rusev, which I don't mind as long as they're still in the IC title picture ecosystem and they just don't have a separate feud without them focusing on the IC title. I hope their main focus of this feud is still IC title. They're just focusing on each other for now and then eventually trying to get their way back to Penta. So overall, I enjoyed this. We end up getting in the main event. We end up getting Jacob Fatu, Roman Reigns, contract signing, starts over Roman. He basically mentions how he beat him at Backlash, and he was like, look, bro, all you had to do was acknowledge me. All you had to do was acknowledge me, and that all of this could have been all so simple. Jacob responds back, ends up saying that I'm not like everyone else. I'm not a follower like all these fans and a crowd in attendance. Then he ends up giving Roman his props, ends up saying that you are the reason why we are on top. You're the reason why our family is viewed a certain way. You're the reason why our family lives a certain lifestyle. But it's time for a change. It's time for someone else to take that mantle. And he basically saying that he's that guy. And then he ends up saying that that he's not gonna follow Roman's lead, and he ends up saying that if he does win, that things are going to take the change for works and things are going to have consequences. Roman responds back. He ends up saying that look, that he ends up mentioning consequences and ends up saying that after this match it's going to be consequences from him. Ends up saying that look, if you do beat me, that you are the new tribal chief, that I will follow your lead, but if I beat you, that basically he's gonna the way that Roman was saying this, he's basically saying that he's gonna treat Jacob like he treated the Usos for many years. Like you basically, I'm gonna be running you now. Like you follow me, I'm your boss, you're my servant, because he ends up saying that you're gonna serve me basically. Which that would be an interesting dynamic now that I think about it. If Roman won, that basically like if Roman wins, he treats Jacob basically like dog shit, but he treats the Usos with respect due to him acknowledging him. I do think that would be an interesting story of Jacob constantly getting abused and constantly, being treated poorly, and then the Usos just sitting there watching it. So I do think that's an interesting dynamic. This was a good back and forth. Personally, I like what both sides had to say. I like that there was no brawl and no ending with a table spot. Thank God, because we've been saying that ending way too many times on Monday Night Raw. So I like that they had the contract signing where they couldn't attack each other. So that was good. Because I was like, if we get another table spot, I'm going to lose it. Overall, I thought this was a really good show. Really solid show overall. Really enjoyed it. Clash in Italy looking like a very stacked PLE. Looks like it's probably going to be arguably the best PLE of 2026 in terms of WWE. So can't wait to see how that card plays out. But you guys let me know your overall thoughts, opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. But yeah, that's it.